So this video is going to be about making their initials on the page and learning some basics on how to use the tools, the extensions that we've created for MakeCode. So just a second, let me see what's going on here. Okay. So we're going to start off, I want to start from scratch here as you would start your students. You come in and type in MakeCode. I find this is the easiest way to get there. If you type in MakeCode, the first thing that comes up is Microsoft MakeCode. If you click that, you should come up in this environment here, right? And we're doing MakeCode. There's a lot of, can do a number of things. It can do MakeCode Arcade, which is what we're using for our gaming camps. It can do the microbit, which is what we're using for this camp and also for the robots. And then it can also do Minecraft, which we don't do this particular summer. But if you click on microbit next, it will come up and it will be a page like this. Now these are projects that I already have up and running. Now the thing to really note here is that unlike Tinkercad and other online coding environments, notice I haven't had to log in. So it's not going to save my files. We can't rely on this to save my files. And so I think I mentioned this in a prior video. So you're going to have to make sure that the students save their files properly, and that will come up as I go forward here. What we're going to do next is we're going to hit New Project. So if I click on New Project, we give our project a name, so you would have to instruct your students on how to give it, what name to give it. But I'm going to call mine Initials, and then I'm hit Create, and then it opens up this area. And I went over this before, but really quickly. Over here you have your demo area, which our demo, it works somewhat for our pixel boxes, but not as cool as I would like it. You can make that, you can get rid of it or pull it out. Here are your tool drawers here, and we'll deal with these in a second, but these are where all your tools are, where you can go and do various things with your microbit. And over here is your coding area. Up here you can program in blocks. You can do JavaScript or Python. We're going to stick with the blocks. And we'll talk about this little gear up here in a second. Down here is where we download stuff to our microbit. There's the name of our file here. We can save stuff here and do undo and redo and zoom in and zoom out over here. Okay? All right, so the way we're going to get started here is we've created for the microbit, excuse me, not for the microbit, but for the PixelBox, we've created some blocks of our own that are going to make drawing a little bit better. And I covered this in a previous video, but just going over it again here. But we need to download extensions. So if you click down here, there are a lot of other tool drawers here, and we created our own. And the self-made blocks are in a thing called extensions. Now there are two ways to add the extension. I can either click the extensions button here, and it will take me to this page, or I can come up here to this gear, click the extensions button, and it takes me to that page. Okay, this is covered in the Google Drive. There is how to install PixelBox MakeCode extension. So if you click this file, it goes through this, and I have some diagrams here to help walk you through this. So that's what's going on here. We will need to get this URL here though. So we need this, paste this URL. So this is the URL, the web address of the extensions that we've created for the PixelBox. So you need to copy and paste that. So I've copied it here. Now I'll go back to my MakeCode. So I can either click here once again and copy and paste it there, or I can go up to the gear and click extensions, and then I can paste that extension there. And then when I hit enter on the keyboard, it brings up, I did a picture for this, but it's not showing up, but it brings up this box here that says PixelBox extensions. If you click on that, it is adding the extensions to my toolbar, and you can see here in the middle, my PixelBox extensions have been added. My PixelBox toolbar, tool tray has been added, and there they are. And these are the things that are going to help us design. Once again, if you saw a previous video, you got this, but repeating it can't hurt. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do our G. If we go back here and look at and I've been doing some practicing, so you'll see it here on the screen. If you go back here and look at and remember our design tools from the previous video, there's the design board. That's what the G looks like. I've already uploaded it here, but we're going to see it uploaded again. And then we'll do the G and the T here. And so I sort of use these as my templates to quickly design this here. All right, so now let's look at the steps, because there are some steps. It's not just as straightforward as I think it should be, but we'll continue to work with MakeCode and the microbit to make this easier and easier. But we have had elementary school students get through this with remote teaching, and so I think it is doable. So the first thing you're going to do when you're going to make an image for your PixelBox, you're going to come down here and hit Functions, and you're going to make a function, right? And then you got to give it a name here. So we're going to call it, I'm going to call this one show. I always start with show because that's what the function is doing. It's showing your image, and then I give it the name of the image. In this case, it's going to be G. So it's going to be show G, and that's what this function is going to do. And a function in computing is a collection of instructions that when we call that function, it does it all for us. So it's like packaging the instructions into one command. And when I say show G, it's going to run all of these lines of code just by me saying show G. So that's what a function is. It's a package of instructions. All right, the next thing we have to do is we have to define memory locations to hold our image. And so we're going to start off, we need a variable, because a variable is a human name for a computer memory location. So I'm going to say make variable. I'm going to give it the name G because I want it to hold my image of G. And then I hit OK. All right. And then I'll drag this set. So I'm going to set variable G, and I've got to set it to an image. So then I'm going to go to my PixelBox here. And then I'm going to get create image and put that where the 0 is. So I'm going to set memory location G to image, create image G. Okay. So once again, do that again. I came over here, I hit variables, and at the time there were no variables defined, so I hit make variable, and then allow me to define a variable called G. So when I hit make variable, I just put G in here, and it made these blocks for me. Then I grabbed the set G block, and I put it inside my function. Okay? And then once I did that, then I went to PixelBox, grabbed create an image, and then put that where the 0 was in the set G2 function block. Okay, so now that I did that, I've defined my image and I've put it in a memory location. Cool, right? So now what I got to do is define each row. And so this box here under PixelBox allows us to define the colors on each row, right? And I really wanted to make a block that you could just do all of this at one time, but right now we're going to have to talk to the make block people so we can create that. We can't create that right now. So I want to set my image name is G, so I click on that and choose the G. And this is row 0. Remember, we're going to start counting at row 0 and go to row 7. It's not 1 to 8, it's 0 to 7. That's how computers count. They start counting at 0, so that's what we'll do here. What I like to do, if I'm my background on this first row, I like to set it, and you click each one and it brings up this color palette, which if you recall, that's the same color palette we had here when I did the PixelBox doodle. I tried to imitate those colors here, right? And so these are about the same. And so that was what motivated that color palette. So what I like to do is you click on the pixel, and then you can click whatever color you want it to be. It defaults to red, but I'm going to make them all black here because my background, at least I'm thinking my background is black. I can make it white, I can make anything I want to, but I'm going to do this because I want my background to be black. Now I've got to do 8 of these. So to make it a little bit easier, instead of going over here, I could come back over here, drag and get the next one, and then put it up under here. But what I'm going to do is if you right-click this block, right-click with your mouse, and hit duplicate, then I just duplicated that. And I'm going to do that 7 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that I'll have 8 rows total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more row. All right. Now I have to go back, and that's nice because then I didn't have to set the variable here, and now I have a background that's black for me to do what I want to do on my image. So that helps. Okay. So once we get finished with our set G up here, did that. Now we want to pull one of these set image colors, these row blocks. Pull that there. I set my colors to background. I set my variable to G. Set my background to black here, and then duplicate it down. Now what I have to do is change the name of each row. Excuse me. Yes, the number of each row. So start off with row 0, leave that one alone, and then change this one to row 1. And then I can either type it in or I could slide this slider here. So that's row 2. I can type it in. That's row 3. Select that one. It's row 4. Select this one, it's row 5, row 6, and row 7. Okay, so my rows 0 to 7 are here, right? Now I can just construct my image. What I would do before I got to constructing my image, because what always happens is people forget to put the show image function down here. So once you've done that, you've got to now put the show image down at the bottom. And then you got to call it the right variable name. So I set G to create image G. Then I set G, the colors for row 0, row 1, row 2, all the way to row 7. These variables are all G. And then show image G down here, right? If you forget the show image, we had this happen in the camp, it's very easy to forget that show image button at the bottom, that block down here at the bottom. And when you do, it looks like your PixelBox is not working because it's not showing an image because you didn't tell it to. Right, so you have to put the show image there. All right, now I can get to the creative part. After I do all that setup, and that setup is the same setup for any image that you're going to create. All right, it's the same setup. So once you learn how to do that routine, you're good, right? And so sort of take your students through that. They have to do that each time. So now I want to make my G. So now I use my template, whether it's my template from here or I could do it from my head if I wanted to, think about it from my head, or it's from here, or I did it, where's my other design thing? I did it using a sheet of paper, right? Which is, they used the paper the first week we did the camp. So you can do that. Either way, it's just to give you some reference points to make it a little bit easier when you're plotting out your pixels here. So here, I want that one to be yellow, and you've got to click on every one here. You can't drag and drop. Once again, if we can work on the interface, we will. But this isn't too bad, and the kids get to sort of slow down and think about what they're doing as they do it. So here we go. Go around the horn. Here, 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 and here. There we go. So that's my G. All right. So now I've done all my setup. I've done my design. So set up, then do your design. Okay, your kids are going to want to jump to design real quickly, and you're going to have to take it slowly, because if you show them too much too soon, they won't focus. They'll be everywhere trying to make everything all kinds of colors and that kind of thing. So so there's that. All right, so now I want to actually make this work. So what I'll do is, and I shouldn't have had my PixelBox on already, what I'll do is I will is this the best way to do this? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go to the next step here. All right, so I'm going to, the way you show it is, there's a couple of ways. You have these two blocks here. You have on start and you have forever. The on start makes things happen when you start. The forever makes things happen repeatedly, forever, right? And so we're going to start with the on start because that's the most direct way to do it. So what you want to do is, you've already made a function to show your letter G. So you come over here to functions, and now there's a block that says call show G. And this is what I was talking about before. This one block calls the function, and then all of these pieces of code run, right? Which sort of makes it real compact and real nice and neat. All right. Okay, so now that we've done all that, we're ready to go. Now we've got to download it. So let me try to, let me split the screen if I can here. Now I've got to download this. Let's see if I can do this. See if I can split the screen here. Nope, this is being obstinate. Let me split my screen. Give me a second here so you can see what's happening here. Probably can go full screen here, but you can see it still. So yeah, let's do it this way. All right. It's not. No, it's not letting me do it big enough. That's a bit of a pain. Hold up just a second. Let's see here. Let me get this. See if I can size these screens properly. Yeah, that should. Had it. Yeah, this should work. All right, let me get rid of this one. Do that. And do this. Okay. All right, let's see if this will get it for us. There's probably a way for me to make this full screen. Yeah, there is, but that doesn't help. All right, cool. We'll do it this way. All right, so when I download, I hit the download button. Now, a couple of things are going to happen. The first thing when I hit this download button, it's going to give me the option to save the file. And then it's going to give me the option to pair it, to pair the microbit coding environment with the microbit I have connected to the computer. So that connection's coming in here, and as I described in a previous video, the power is coming in here. All right, so the connection from the computer comes in here, and then I have just a USB port plugged into the wall coming in here. This transfers the code from the computer to the microbit, right? And then this cable here is powering all of these lights down here. The microbit it's not strong enough to power all 64 of these lights, and so we use an external power supply right there. Okay, so now when I hit download, so there are a couple of things happening. So you see here, it allows me to store it. It's created a file called microbit-initials-hex. So these files are .hex files, just like Word files are .docx files, just like PowerPoint are .pptx files. These are, you have .gif files. These are .hex files, and you can save those. So remember when I talked about earlier how the MakeCode coding environment doesn't save files for you. So what you want to do is make sure that your students save these files. When they get finished, they save these files in a folder or a directory somewhere on the computer. Right? You can see here I have a number of files saved on my computer here. That way they can get to them the next day. If they don't do that, then they run the risk, if they come back and get a different computer, or somehow that computer was updated, they'll lose their files. And so you don't want that to happen. So that's how you save files, and you can save files. Let me take a step back. You can also just save files without downloading. You can save files by clicking this save button here, and that will allow you to save files as well. Okay. Now, when you're downloading, there are two ways. You hit the download button. There are two ways to get something downloaded. So one way is to copy this file just like you were saving it on a USB drive or on the computer. If you save that file, you see here there's a drive. When you plug your microbit in, there's a drive, an extra drive like a USB drive that's here, right? So it's a drive that says microbit. If I click that and I save the file there, right? And if I hit save, that will download the file to my microbit. Okay, and then I hit done, right? And that downloads the file to my microbit. Okay. In fact, let me do something here just because I want you to be able to see the changes that I made. I'm going to change the little tail here. Make this, let's make it green. let's not go green, let's go blue. So let's say if I come in here and make every other one blue, and I'm doing this so that you can see the changes over here in the image because I already had one loaded. So the student comes in, they set up their image, they do the initial, they set up their image, and they want to see what it looks like on their microbit. So they come here to download. Download method one is I come over here on the side and find the microbit. I click on it, it opens the directory, and I save the file into that directory and then hit done. And then it will download that file. It's supposed to down. There you go. It downloads the file, and there you go. You can see my image has changed, that every other pixel is blue. Right? Okay, so the other way to do it, now let me go back and make another change here. Let me go back and make them all yellow again. Click on these, make them all yellow. So that's one way to download, is just to save the file to the microbit directory, or the microbit folder. The other way is when you hit download, if you want to make it a little bit faster, don't save the file to that, hit cancel here, and then hit pair. And you can pair your microbit to your computer, and that means that you just have to hit the download button and it will automatically download, and you have to go through multiple steps. So if you hit pair now, and then hit next, and it tells you what you're going to see on the next screen, you hit next again. On this screen you'll see it says BBC microbit, and then some letters after that. If you click that and then hit connect and then done, now my microbit and my computer are paired, right? And so when I do that, now when I do download, now what will happen is it won't take me through those extra steps, it just automatically downloads. And so you see now it downloaded the new file with my G's with all yellow on my G, right? So two ways to do it, right, is to every time you have to download the hex file to your microbit directory or folder, or you can pair them, and then now you can just hit the download button and they download, right? Now you may have to reestablish the pairing the next day, each camp period. Now keep in mind, when a student saves their hex file to the microbit folder, that does not save it to the computer. So if you want them to save it so that they'll have it for the next day, it's good practice that at the end of that exercise, have them hit the save button here, and then save it to not to the microbit folder, but to another folder or a desktop on the computer. Okay. All right. So that's the process. That's the cycle, and this is a video, so if I went too fast on some of it or you're confused, you can go back and sort of figure it out, pause, go back and figure it out. All right, what I want to do now is do some things with the G here. They could go through and design the T as well. You can practice doing that, but I want to sort of move along a little bit, and I want to move things around. So I want to do some things with the G. All right, and so the first thing I want to do is move it a bit, right? And using the same techniques I used in video 3, I think. Let's go here and or let me go ahead, let me take some time and do the T, and then that'll give us another character to play with, right? So now if I want to use the T, if I want to do the T, I could start all over with function, create a new function, and do that whole thing. Or I could click this function block here, right click, hit duplicate, and it will duplicate all this for me. Right? Now I have to go through and change the names, but at least I don't have to go through and reassemble this whole thing. Right? So I want to come here and I want to change the name of this. I don't want to show G, I want to show T. That's what I want the name of my function to be. Right? And then I don't want to set variable G, so I click G here, but what I want is a new variable name, and I want to call it T. So I hit OK there, and keep in mind I want to name my image T as well. So I'm creating image T, and I'm setting that equal to variable T. And I have to go through all of these and change them to T as well. So I got to get my setup right before I can go ahead and do my design. But at least by copying the whole thing, this doesn't take me as much time to do it. And don't forget the show image button box down here as well. Now that I've done that, by doing the copy paste, my rows are already set, so I don't have to deal with that. And now I'm ready to design. So let me make some alterations here and make my T here. There we go there. All right. So we found that this doesn't bother the students that much. They get really creative and into their designs, and they're pretty much motivated to fight through this, which really isn't that bad, to make their designs happen. So, all right. So now I have my T. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I want to show them. I want to show my G, then my T. Okay. So I'm going to do what I did in video 3. I'm going to come down here, go function, and show T. But I want, if I don't put a pause in between them, watch what happens when I download. Let me shrink this again. So watch what happens when I download here. So what happens is it showed it so fast that you don't really see the G. Let me do it again so you can see it. Watch how fast the G goes by. Right? You don't even see it. It ends on the T because there's no pause in here. Computers run very fast, and so it showed the G, but it did it so fast you didn't get a chance to see it. So what you want to do is you want to put a pause in there. So if you go up to basic, scroll down, you can grab the pause here, and then you can pause you can pause 10 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds. A millisecond, of course, is 1,000th of a second. 500 milliseconds is half a second, or you can do a whole second or 5 seconds or what have you. And so doing a short exercise like this lets the student sort of get a chance to play with this. So I'm going to pause for 2 seconds, and then when I download it, you'll be able to see the G, then the T. So there's the G, there's the T. Okay, all right, and that's cool. But what if I wanted to rotate that over and over again? Then that's where this forever block comes in. So I come and drag this over and I put it in the forever block, and then I want to do this loop here. So this is called the loop because it's just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's going to show this, pause, show that, then show the G, pause, show the T, right? So I want you to see how this looks. So I run this and it downloads. So you see the G, pause 2 seconds, you see the T. Now notice, now you can't see the T. Why? And this is a good exercise to run through with the students. You can't see it because there's no pause. When it goes back to do this again, it's not stopping here. When we had it in the on start, it stopped because it doesn't go forever. It just runs the code and stops. But here it keeps going, and there's no pause between the T and the G when it goes back up, so you don't get a chance to see it. So what do we have to do? We got to put another pause in here. I could click basic, go down, grab pause again and drag it up. Or I could click this pause button, right click, duplicate, and then use that. So now when I have this, it's going to show me the G, wait for 2 seconds, show me the T, wait for 2 seconds, then go back and show me the G, I'm sorry, go back up and show me the G. So if I hit download on this, we should see the G for 2 seconds, then the T for 2 seconds, and then the G for 2 seconds, and then the T for 2 seconds, and so on. And this loops forever. It keeps going, right, over and over. That's what the forever button is for. So that gives you an idea of how to loop things. So if it wasn't clear in video 3, when we made the little red box move around, Hopefully it's more clear here with the G and the T. So this is a very quick way for your students. They can make their initials and rotate through their initials, and I think that'd be a cool thing for them to do. All right, I'm going to add some more functionality to this in the next part of this video. So hang on, here it comes. Continuing on to figure out more things that we can do here. So this is how you use the forever block, and we showed how you can make it go back and forth and continuously show the G and the T. Now I want to show you how to make things sort of move on the screen, and that's using one of the blocks we created with the PixelBox, tool set here. So what I want to do is I'm going to do this not in the forever. I'm going to remove this from the forever block and sort of just leave that out there hanging. And then I want to come here, I want to come to the PixelBox here, and I want to go to where I want to do here. I want to go to set image offset. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in and grab a show. I'm going to deal with the G again. I'm going to show the G, right? And then I'm going to do my pause again. So I'll come over here. I could have copied it from over here, but I'll just drag and drop it from here. I'm going to pause for, let's go a half a second. Let's go a whole second. Go for a whole second. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the image again. I'm going to show image G. So this block allows me to show with an offset. So let me show that again. So this block up here lets me show my image, but I'm going to do it with an offset, which means I'm going to either be able to move it to the left or move it to the right. So my notion here is I'm going to show image G with an offset, and I'm going to move it one block to the right. Okay? And then I'm going to pause again, and then I'm going to show it and move it another block to the right. And then I'm going to pause again, and then I'm going to show it another block to the right, right? And let's just stick with that right now, and we should be able to see the G move 3 blocks to the right. All right, so let's run it. Let me get this back so we can actually see the screen there. There you go. And let's run it. So you can see the G moving to the right. All right. In fact, it only moved once to the right. So now it's from so it moves from its original location. So what I need to do is if I want it to be 2 blocks over, I need to go 2 there, and if I want 3 blocks over, I need to go 3 there. And that will move it 1 block from its original position, then 2 blocks from its original position, then 3 blocks from its original position, because that's just the way we wrote these blocks. So let me hit download again, and now we should see it move over. It should start off in the original, then move 1, then 2 from its original, then 3 from its original. So that's how we can move things around the screen. Let me show you if we use the Y offset. Let's go pause there. Now the thing is it doesn't rotate back around. You'd have to do a little bit more math to do that. If you have an advanced student, maybe that's a way for them to sort of figure out how to get it to rotate back around, right? Oh, before I do the rotating back around, excuse me, before I do the moving the other offset, what if I make these negative numbers? -1, -2, whoops, -2, and -3, right? Then they will move -1 from their original position, -2 from their original position, and -3 from the original position. So you just saw it move backwards. Let me show you that again. So it starts off in its original, then it moves -1, -2, -3, right? So, well, I'd have -2 there. I made a mistake. I don't mind making mistakes in training videos because it shows that we don't have to be perfect and we're all learning from our mistakes. So again, there you go. Original, -1, -2, -3. Okay, so that's how students can move things on the screen. If I want it to move up and down instead, I could leave this at 0 and then do a 1, 2, and 3 here, and my G now should move up from its original position. Oh, now it's moving down. So yeah, it's moving down from its original position. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this actually is a good thing. The reason it's doing that is because what you need to do is clear the image right before you show it again, because what's happening is nothing is changing these yellow pixels back to black. As it moves, nothing's erasing the former image and then showing you a new one. So that's why we created this block here called clear image. So once I call it and show it and wait, before I show the next image, I need to clear out image G. And I need to do that right before I show it each time here. So I'll clear out, image G. Right? And what that does is that erases the screen and then shows you the next image, right? So that way none of the pixels from the last image get left over. It just so happens when we're moving left to right, we have black pixels in our image that we're erasing, we couldn't see it, but they were erasing the yellow pixels. When you move up to down, it doesn't happen that way because of the way the image is drawn. So let's download it here. And now what it's doing is it's erasing the image before it redraws it. That's what the clear image is doing, right? And so once again, that's moving down in the positive. The coordinates system with images are going down is positive. I know if you use the Cartesian coordinate plane, going down is negative, but when you use images, as you can see here on our box, or on these trays we made, the X and the Y start in the upper left-hand corner and go positive down for Y and then positive to the right for X. So that's how images are done. Okay, so if I do this in the negative direction, -1, -2, -3, then you can watch it go back up the screen. Okay. All right. And then I can move it as much as I want to. And of course, I could do, you could do a combo. And this is when you and your students' creativity can take over. Let me do them. So now it's going to move diagonally along the line with slope 1 if you're a math teacher. So if I now run it, it's going to move down and over each time. So it's moving down and over. Okay. So this is how you can move things around the screen. So that's a technique that you would want to teach your students as well. If you put it in a forever loop, then you can create all kinds of effects. Okay. All right. So this is using looping, and looping is a very big part of coding, right? Another big part of coding is a thing called conditionals. It's having your code respond to some kind of input or some kind of condition. And so that's what we're going to do next. We're going to do it in a couple of simple ways here. So let me get rid of this code here. One of my biggest, not a problem, but when you do this code is your screen gets really junky sometimes. And so so what you have to do is take some time to, you can hit this. If you hit the, let me go back in and do that again. If you hit this little arrow next to the name of the function, it will compress it. And so it doesn't take up as much space. And since we've already got our G and our T set, we don't really need to deal with that code again anymore. So I'll compress both the G and the T, sort of get those up and out of the way. And then my extra code from before, I'll leave it up in here and get that out of the way. And then, so now let's deal with this next thing, which is responding to input. So there's some input, there's an input drawer here. And if you click that, you can grab this block that says on button press. And if you notice, let's go here. If you notice on the front of your, and I'm going to move these trays out of the way for this next part. If you notice on the front of your microbit, there are two buttons. The one on the left is button A, and it's labeled button A. At least it should be labeled button A. And the one on the right is labeled button B. You can see that one. It's labeled button B up top, right? And so we're gonna make our microbit do some things, and our PixelBox respond to us pushing those buttons. So the way to do that is you bring in a block that says on button A. So that's in the input box, our drawer. This block on button A pressed, right? Then we have it do something. So I'm just going to have it very simply. If you press button A, you're going to show the G, and then grab another one here. Whoops, grab another one. If you hit this right here, if you press button B, I just hit that little triangle there, and it gives me an option of the buttons to press. You can either press A or B, or you can make an action if you press both of them at the same time, right? I want to make it so you show me the T when I press button B, okay? All right, and so when I hit download, it's going to come back, and the screen doesn't change because I didn't put anything in the on start here. So when it started, it didn't have anything to do, so it just left things where they were. But if I come here and push button A, it shows me the G. And if I push button B, it shows me the T. So A is the G, B is the T, right? Now, the students can do a lot of different things with that, right? And they can use the PixelBox. Our teacher for the last camp, the elementary school camp, Amanda 10, she had them tell stories, and a lot of students would make one thing happen if they hit A, and another thing if they hit B, and then they could make something happen if they hit something else happen if they did A and B, which would be really cool. So you can do that. So so that's one input that you can do. There are a number of inputs. I'm going to show you just one more here. I'm going to do the shake input now. That sounds scary, I know, for teachers to have students walk around shaking their microbits, but I'm not going to use the shake selection. If you click on this button, it has a lot of options here, right? You can make it when the logo is up, you can make it do something. When the logo is down, you can make it do something. When you lay it flat, you can make it do something. When you flip it over, you can make it do something. If you drop it, you can make it do something. If you have a slight impact or a heavy impact, you can make it do different things. I would sort of refrain from those using the pixel boxes because we don't want to break anything. But what I want to show you is, let's do left tilt and right tilt. So if I go left tilt, so on left tilt, I'm going to, once again, I'll just show you I'll do show G. So when I tilt it left, show G, and then I'm going to duplicate this time. And then when I tilt it right, I want to show not G, but I'll show T. Okay, the A and B is still going to work, right? But now when I tilt it left, I'm going to show a G. When I tilt it right, I'm going to show a T. So let's download that and check it out, see what happens here. All right, so let's go back to our A and B, make sure they still work. I hit A, I get a G, B, I hit a T, right? When I tilt it left this way, it changes to G. When I tilt it right this way, it changes to T, and back and forth, right? So you can have your students experiment with these things and really tell a pretty cool narrative with this. There's a way to do a compass, north, south, east, and west, which is pretty cool. It may be a little restrictive because you have to have the cable here for the power, but you can do a lot of different things. You can make I could make another tea that's called blue tea and make the tea look like it's changing colors when I do certain actions. So all of these things are available to you with this. So this was sort of the operational video and showing you sort of all of these things. Next up, I'm going to make some videos that just show you some of the things that we've created. This was initials. In video 3, we did the little red box. I'm going to show you, I'm going to recommend a video that you watch that shows you how to do 8-pixel art. And he makes this little character. He makes a knight, and then he makes it into an elf. And so just showing you that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you a Pac-Man ghost that we created, and then some superhero stuff that we did. But right now, these are the videos we have, and hopefully that will help you begin to prepare for the camp. Thank you very much for teaching and helping our students, and I'll talk to you in the next video.